Welcome, sports fans. This is BetRepublic.com's quick hit look at the NFL Week 4. Two big games coming up this weekend. The first one we're going to talk about is probably the prime matchup. It's the Big Apple versus the Big Easy. It's the matchup of the unbeatens, 3-0 New York Jets, surprising 3-0 New York Jets, heading into New Orleans to face the 3-0 New Orleans Saints. The game here is this. Do you favor the offense or do you favor the defense? Do you think that the Jets' top-ranked defense is going to hold down the NFL's top-ranked offense and Drew Brees? I'd say tougher schedule-wise so far, edge to the Jets. Houston, New England, and Tennessee. Three pretty decent offenses, especially offenses in New England with a guy named Brady and Houston with Matt Schaub. Combine those three teams, 33 points. A big part because of the opening week shutout when Houston started the season flat, but 33 points combined for the Jets defense. It's 11-point average for each of those three teams. I'd say that's a little bit tougher schedule, but you can only play the teams that are in front of you, and New Orleans has put up 45 against Detroit, 48 against Philadelphia, not a bad team there, and the Eagles. And last week, a bit of an off week, only 27 points. But that was on the road and in Buffalo. You know, this isn't the first meeting between Rex Ryan and Drew Brees. Ryan, 3 years ago, faced him when he was the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, and he held Drew Brees to 22 points, but I don't think there's any denying that he had a better team with him with that Baltimore defense. Young Jets, untested Jets, I still say, yes, they passed the test in week 3, but I don't think you can come away from that game and say, yes, they are for real, for a fact. Opening line on this one, New Orleans is -7. New Orleans, a home favorite of 7, the total of 48. Opening total of 48, pretty common number for a New Orleans Saints game, but early money has come in, and it's dropped now 3 full points to 45, which tells you that people are buying into the Jets defense instead of the New Orleans offense. Myself, I don't think so. They're going to have to show me a little bit more before I start buying into them. And while 7 points is a lot, the Jets also benefited from 4 turnovers from the Titans. One of the spots I look to go against the NFL is a team that benefited from 4 turnovers. I like to play against them the next week, and there's a little tendency for those games to also go over 3-1 already this year if you play the over following week after a team benefited from 4 turnovers. I lean a little bit towards New Orleans, and I like the over in this one. And then, of course, the other big matchup this week. Maybe not so much for the teams on the field as for the captains behind the ball for both of those teams. Brett Favre wearing purple against the Green Bay Packers, who come into Minnesota as a 3.5-point underdog. Started at 3, kind of a fair number, but Minnesota definitely has the edge in personnel. You know, Green Bay was a lot of people's preseason favorite. I liked it myself. Both sides of the ball looked to be dominating, not just winning in the preseason. And there's a lot of hope that defense was going to improve for Green Bay because that was one of the problems that they had last year. The defense just wasn't up to snuff. Well, they're allowing 128 yards per game, and now they have to face the toughest running back, maybe the best overall player in the league, Adrian Peterson. So while the focus is certainly going to be on Brett Favre facing his old Green Bay team, and we were wondering in the office earlier if Brett's going to use this as an excuse if he throws a pick. Well, you know, I'm so used to throwing to that green and yellow, for a second there, I just lost it and, reverted to my natural tendencies. Although some would say his natural tendency would be to throw it to the guys in the other uniform. But while the focus is going to be on the quarterback, Brett Favre, and the press coverage will be on that, and the fans will be talking about him versus Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, has not started off just like his defense played well in the pre and hasn't played well in the regular season. Aaron Rodgers isn't having the year that a lot of people thought that he was going to have. But part of the problem is that offensive line. And that's where this game is going to be decided. Not at the quarterback, so they're going to get all the publicity in the press and they're going to be talked about. This game comes down to 2 things. The running game of Minnesota against Green Bay's line And just as important, that week thus far, Green Bay offensive line that gave up 6 sacks to Cincinnati. They improved to only 2 sacks last week, but they're playing a lousy Rams team. 12 sacks in 3 games. That's 4 sacks a game for Aaron Rodgers. Minnesota has a tough defensive line. And if Green Bay does not protect any better, doesn't matter who's playing quarterback on the Green Bay side, they're going to be in for a long day. Hate to lay that hook over it. If I had to, I'd buy it off. I kind of like the Packers, don't like Brett, but when money's on the table, it's a different story. It doesn't matter who you're rooting for. And I've got to say that line versus line is what's going to matter in this game, and I'd take Minnesota in this one. And that's your Monday night contest. NFL, this has been BetRepublic.com's Quick Hit. That's it. We'll see you next week.